Section 3 of SD50 Operational Manual. Section 3 Operation Introduction. A section recommended procedures for operation of a locomotive. The procedure of the briefly outlined and do not contain detailed explications of the equipment lubrication functions. Preparation of service ground inspection. Check for the following: leakage of fuel, oil, lube oil, water, or oil, air. Loosen the dragging parts. Looser dragging parts, proper hose connection between units of multiply and units in multiples, proper positioning of angle cocks or shutoff valves, air cut into the truck brake cylinder, satisfactory conditions of the brake shoes, fuel supply, proper installation cabinet, proper installation control cables between the units, lead unit cab inspection of the lead control and control location section. Section 2 should be checked for the equipment position for the operation as follows. Fuels and switch panels. Main battery switch is closed. All fuels installed in good condition. All fuses installed in good condition of correcting rating indicating the panel. Guys, I just took a break. I'm trying to get back in the groove. Circuit breaker panels. All breakers in the black area of the panels are on position. Automatic cooling system and drain circuit is so equipped is protecting cooling circuit against freezing after next engine shutdown. Water drain circuit breaker must be on. Other circuit breakers are also equipped on. At number 2 circuit breaker panel, verify the ground relay cutout switch is closed. Engine control panel, isolate the switch start position. Headlight control switch, proper position for the leading operation unit. Dynamic breakout cut switch, if equipped, the dynamic break up position. The miscellaneous switch position is required. Remote traction motor control switch, if equipped, in motors all in position. The electrical cabinet is pressurized with filtered air. Cabinet doors must be securely closed during locomotive operation. Operation control stand switch and operating handles. Control stand should be positioned as follows. Place control of the fuel pump switches on open position is in the on position. The fuel pump switch in on the on position, and the place the controls in the on position. Place engines run switch, the generator field switch on the off down position. If the equipment for the power reduction circuit, set the power reduction together to switch to off position. Light miscellaneous switches positioned as desired. Move throttle handle to idle, dynamic brake handle to off, position reverse handle to neutral, and remove. The 26LR air brake equipment. Insert the automatic brake valve handle if removed and placed in the suppression position. If they will notify the application of many safety control equipment used. And insert independent brake valve handle if removed. Move to full application position. Position the cutoff valve into the in position. Units equipped on the 3-position cutoff valve. Position the valve into the front or freight or passenger depending on the makeup of the train. Place the multiple unit valve figure 211 located on the left side of the control of the lead or dead open lead or dead position indicated in the valve hand. Starting the diesel engine. The following inspection have been completed with diesel engine may be started. Engine room inspection. The engine room equipment may be inspected, operated, opening accesses, doors along the sides of the locomotive, long hooded. Check the air compressor for properly lube oil supply. Check the water level, water tanking, sight glass near the full engine dead mark on the water level instruction plate. Water level should be rechecked when the engine is running. The level should be near the full engine running mark. Check all valves for the proper positioning. Observe the leakage for fuel, oil, lube, oil, water, and air. Engine inspection. Engine should be inspected before as well as after starting. Check the overspeed mechanism is set. Check the governor low oil pressure trip plunger is set. The oil is visible on the governor sight glass. Check the crankcase when pressure low pressure detector reset buttons are set. If either the button protrudes, press the hold down button for 5 seconds immediately after the engine starts. Check the engine top deck airbox oil panel inspection covers are as in place and they are securely closed. check sight gauge on the lube oil filter. If gauge is full, proceed to step 6. If the gauge is empty, mark certain oil strainer hosing is. Make sure that oil strainer hosing is full. The oil level should be maintained up to the overflow out of the housing. Put the oil level gauge dipstick from the outside of the engine in the oil pan. Oil gauge shall be coated with the lube oil. Note, properly filled lube oil system will coat the oil gauge above the fuel mark where the engine is stopped. To obtain the accurate check and the recheck level, the engine is idling normal operating temperature. Engine starting. The procedure inspection having completed, the diesel engine may be started. Closing the engine room door to the engine starts performing the following. Note, if the engine was temperature is 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit or less, preheat the engine before attempting to start. Pre-lubing the engine having been shut down from the 48 hours. Refer to the engine maintenance manual for pre-lube procedures. Open the operation. 1. Open the cylinder test cocks and bar cover over the engines at least 2 revolutions. Observe the leakage from the test cocks. Close the test cocks. The leakage from the cylinder test cocks indicates a problem with an engine. Notify the maintenance personnel. Check all the fuels installed in good condition of the check rating indication plate. Verify the main battery and ground relay cutout switches are closed. 3. At the circuit breaker panels. Check that all breakers in the black areas are in the on position. Operators control stands make certain that the generator field engine run switches are off or down. Verify the control of the fuel pump switches are on or up. When the starting trail unit diesel engines are control cables have been connected between the units. Note, to control the fuel pump should be switched to remain off. The engine control pump panel. Verify the isolation switches in the starting position. At the equipment rack, place the fuel primer engine start switch in the fuel prime position. Fuel flows into the return fuel sight glass. Figure 3.1 clear and free of the bubbles, normally 15 seconds. Clear and free of bubbles, normally 15 to 12 seconds. Or 10 to 15 seconds. Caution: one unit equipped with the engine purge control. Do not push the injector control level until the gauge is cranked 6 seconds. Here you have the return sight fuel gauge. Normally, the bypass sight gauge and the filter elements. Position the injector control level in the delay shift and to open 1/3 of the rack, about 1/6 of the governor scale, except for the equipped for the engage engine purge control system. Move the fuel system engine starters to engine start position. Hold the switch position until the engine fires. The speed increases, but not more than 20 seconds. Caution: starter motor should not be allowed to crank engine for more than 20 seconds. The engine fails to start. The 20 seconds could have elapsed and allow 2 minutes for start after cooling. 8. The release injector control level of the engine comes up to the idle speed. Does not advance the release lever increase speed until the oil pressure is confirmed. Engine water inlet temperature should be allowed to reach 100 degrees Fahrenheit before load is applied. Check the low water pressure detector reset button after each engine start. Before reset button after each engine starts. If trip, press the button to the reset detector. The engine will shut down after a short time delay if the detector is not reset. The detector is difficult to reset after the engine starts. Confirming that the oil pressure, the position of the injector control lever relay shift is to increase the engine speed of the short time and press the reset. Check the following with the engine running in normal operational temperatures. Cooling level is nearly full. Engine running, mark it on the top water level instruction plate. Lube oil level is nearly full, mark on the oil level gauge. C, the governor oil level. D, the compressor to lube oil level. Operation: trailing unit cab inspection. Switches, circuit controls located in the cab trailing the unit should be checked for the proper position as follows. Fuels and switches maintained. Battery switches and closed. Fuse is installed in good condition. Any correction rating is indicated on the panel. Circuit breakers. All breakers in the black area of the circuit breaker panels are on position in the automatic cooling system drain circuit, and specially protecting cooling system against freezing after the next engine starts. engine shutdown. Whether water drain circuit breaker must be on other circuit breakers are required. On number 2 circuit breaker pair, verify the ground relay cutout switch is closed. The engine control plan and isolation switch is the start position. Headlight per position to correspond with the unit position in the consist. Dynamic brake cutout switch. If equipped, the dynamic brakes. If equipped in dynamic brake switch position, miscellaneous switches position and equip. Operation. Starter motor should not be allowed to crank engine for more than 20 seconds. Engine fails to start after 20 seconds have elapsed. Allow 2 minutes for starting and cooling. Release injector control or when the engine comes up to idle speed. Do not advance the lever to increase the speed until the oil pressure is confirmed. Engine water inlet temperature should be allowed to reach 125 degrees Fahrenheit at idle before load is applied. Check for the low water pressure detector reset button after the engine starts. If tripped, press the button to reset the detector. The engine will shut down after a short time delay if the detector is not reset. Note, if the detector is difficult to reset after the engine starts, confirm the oil pressure, then position the injector control lever, the lay shaft, to increase the engine speed for a short time and then press the reset button. Check the following engine running normal operation temperatures. Coolant level is near the full engine mark on the water level instruction plate. Lube oil level is near the full mark oil level gauge. Governor oil level, compressor lube oil level. Training unit cab inspection switches, circuit breakers, controls located in the cab of the trailing unit should be checked for the proper positioning as valves, fuses, and switches. Main battery knife switch closed for installed in good condition for the correct rating is indicated on the panel. The circuit breakers, all breakers in the black area of the circuit breaker panels are on the on position. The automatic cooling system draining circuit special is protecting the cooling system against the freezing about next engine shutdown. After the next engine shutdown, water draining circuit breaker must be on. Other circuit breakers are on and required. After number 2 circuit breaker panel, verify the ground relay cutout switch is closed. Engine control panel, isolating the switch of the start position. Headlight switches in proper position corresponding with the unit's position in the consist. Dynamic brake cutout switches if equipped. The dynamic brake position in dynamic brake position. Miscellaneous switches position as required. Remote traction motor cutout switch if equipped with the motors all in position. No electrical cabinet is pressurized with filter air cabinet door must be secure during locomotive operation. Operators control stand switches and operating handles on the control should should be in position as follows. Control the fuel pump switch, generator field switch, and engine run switch must be off. Move the throttle to idle, dynamic brake handle to the off position. Position the reverse handle to the neutral, remove to lock other handles. If equipped in the power reduction circuit, set the power reduction switch to off position. Light miscellaneous switches position to desired. The 26L air brake equipment. Place automatic brake valve handle to the handle off position. Remove handle if so equipped. Place independent brake valve handle into the release position. Move the handle if so equipped. Put the cutoff valve into the out position. Place the multi-unit valve train close to the train position as indicated with the valve handle. Start trailing unit design engines. Engine's trailing unit is started in the same manner as the engine in the lead unit. Refer to the starting and diesel engine portion of the section. If the control jumper cables are already connected between the units, ensure the control and the fuel pump, generator field, engine run switches are off. This will allow the systems to be controlled from the lead unit. Placing the units on the line after the diesel engine has started. Inspection of the units must be placed on the line desired. Placing the isolation switch on the engine control place in the cab into the run position that consists as to the If it consists as at to the standstill, to be certain of the throttle handle in all units is in idle position before placing the unit in the line. Precaution of moving before the locomotive. The following points should be carefully checked for the attempting moving of the locomotive under its own power. Make sure that the main reservoir pressure is normal. This is very important. The locomotive is equipped with electromagnet switchgear, which will function in response to control the permanent operation without air pressure for the brakes. Check for proper application release of air brakes. Release the handbrake. Remove any of the blocking under the wheels. If desired for the engine water, temperatures 49 degrees Celsius, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Higher before full allowed applied engine after idling. Ambient temperatures below 18 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Increase the full load level should be made gradually. Handling light locomotive when the engine started is placed online. The preceding inspection precautions completed. The locomotive is handling the following: place the engine run switch to the engine generator field switch is on position. Place the head and other lights as needed on. Insert reverse handle, move it on the desired direction, travel either forward and reverse, release air brakes, open throttle position number 1, 2, and 3 is needed to move the locomotive at desired speed. Locomotive response to the throttle movement is almost immediately. There is a little delay in power buildup. The throttle should be in idle before coming to a dead stop. Reverse handle should be moved to change the direction of travel only when locomotive is completely stopped. Drawing air reserves and strainers. The air reserves and air strainers of the filter should be drained periodically, whether not equipped, and be provided to automatic drain valve. The following in the maintenance schedule established by the railroad. Coupling locomotives together. When coupling units together to multi-unit operation, the procedures should be as follows: the couple stretch units to ensure the couplers are locked. Install the control cable between the units. Attach the platform to safety chains between the units. Platform, ground, engine room, engine inspections, and outline in preceding articles. Position cabs for traveling out unit operation. Outline preceding articles. Remove the reverse handles from all the controls to lock. Controls to connect air brake hose between the units. Open required air hose cutout cocks on each unit. 8. Make setup of the brakes and consist to determine if the brakes applied on each unit brakes that must be relieved. Determine if the brake released. The same procedures must be followed to check the independent brake application. Also release the automatic service application by depressing the independent brake valve handle on. Inspecting all brakes to consist to determine if they are released. Coupling units together with dynamic braking. Locomotive, when equipped with basic dynamic brakes, makes use electrical potential the brake control rheostat to the control braking strength, the control excitation, the main generator field. This electrical potential is imposed upon the train wire and to control dynamic braking strength and of all units in the consisting equipment with potential line brake. However, the total braking effort of the multi-unit consistent can become quite high. Carefully observe the railroad rules regarding multi-unit dynamic braking and criteria. Critical service. Coupling locomotive to the train. Locomotive should be coupled to the train using the same care taken when coupling units together. After coupling, make the following checks to see the couplers are locked by stretching the connection. Connecting the air brake. Slowly open the air valve of the locomotive's train to cut the brakes. Slowly open the air valves on the locomotive train to cut the brakes. Pump up the air using the following procedures. Pumping up the air. After cutting the air brakes on the train, note the reaction of the main reserve air gauge. If the pressure falls below the train line pressure, pump the air as follows. Place the generator field in switch position off. Move the reverse handle to neutral position. Open the throttle as needed to speed again and thus increase the air compressor output. Throttle may be advanced to number 5 if necessary. Engine should not, however, be run unloaded as pumping the air as beyond throttle 5, number 5 position. Brake pipe leakage test. Prior to the operating 26L brake equipment, the leakage test must be performed on the brake leakage test should be in accordance with the railroad operating rules of the power brake law. Starting a train. Method to use the starting of the train depends upon the factors such as the type, weight, length, and the train amount of the slack and the train, whether the weather, the grade, the track conditions. Since all the factors are available, specific training with starting instructions cannot be provided with it, and it will therefore be up to the operator to use good judgment in proper applying to the power to suit the requirements thereof. However, the certain general considerations that should be observed they are discussed in the following paragraph. The basic characteristics of diesel locomotive has a high starting tractor of effort, which makes it imperative for the air brakes to completely be released at any time is made of the start, and therefore the important sufficient time to be allowed after stopping, otherwise applying the brakes to allow it to be fully released before attempting to start the train. The locomotive possesses sufficiently highly attractive effort to enable and start most trains without taking slack. The practice of taking slack and indiscriminately should be thus avoided. Therefore, will, however, their insistence in which advise sometimes necessary to take the slack in the starting train. Cars should be taken in such a case to prevent excessive locomotive acceleration, which would cause the undue shock. Proper throttle handling is important when starting the train, since it has direct bearing on the power being applied. As the throttle advances, the power increases. Out occurs most immediately. The power is applied to the valve. Dependent upon the throttle, is it therefore advisable to advance the throttle one notch at a time when starting a train. A train should be started in a low throttle position as possible, as keeping the speed of the locomotive at a minimum until all slack has been removed and the train completely stretched. Sometimes advisably to reduce the throttle to notch to one notch or two to the moment the locomotive begins to move the order and preventing the stretching of the slack too quickly or to avoid slipping. When ready to start, follow the general procedures recommended. Place isolation switch on run position. Move the reverse handle into the desired direction, either forward or reverse. Place the engine running and generator field switches in the on position. Place release automatic independent brake valves. Open throttle one notch every few seconds as follows. Number 1 loading wheel stop at a specifically low value. This may be noted as loading indicating meter. At any easing start of the place of the locomotive may start the train. Note, the design locomotive power control system makes it generally unnecessary to apply locomotive independent brakes, manipulate the throttle between number 1 and idle position during start. To number 2 and 3, higher experience demand on the schedule will be determined until the locomotive moves. Reduce throttle 1 or more notches if the acceleration is too rapid after the train is stretched. Advance the throttle as desired. Note, the wheel control system operating Super Series reacts automatically to maximum tractive effort for any particular operating condition. The condition will including wet, oiled rails, full throttle opening, maximum acceleration, climbing hills. The wheels controlling system totally automatically require no operation rater's action. This therefore the whole will slip the light will never come over the Super Series above 1.5 miles an hour unless the wheel overspeeds locked powered wheels or Super Series failure condition exists. Acceleration of a train. After the train has been accelerated, the throttle can be advanced rapidly as soon as desired to the accelerated train. The speed with which the throttle advance depends on the demand of the schedule, the type of locomotive of the train involved in general. However, the advancing of the throttle one notch at a time is desired to prevent slippage. That load indicating meter provides the best guide of the throttle handling while accelerating a train. By observing this meter, it will be noted that the point moves toward the right increased amperage as the throttle advances. As soon as the increase or is absorbed, the meter point becomes moving toward the left. As the time the throttle again advances the maximum acceleration without slipping. Now the throttle should be advanced one notch each time the meter begins to move toward the left until the full power is reached in throttle position 8. A short time operation nameplate is located directly beneath the loading current indicator meter. The air brake with the power. The method of handling the air brake left to the discretion of the individual railroad. How, whenever the brake within the power must be remembered for any of the given throttle position, the draw pulley rapidly increases the train speed, decreases. His pull might become great enough to make put the train in release to reduce as the speed decreases. Since the pull of the locomotive is indicated, the amperage of the load meets the operator can maintain the constant pull of the train during the slowdown, keeping steady amperage load meter. This accomplished by reducing the throttle a notch whenever the amperage starts increase. Recommended the independent brakes to become be kept fully released during power braking. The throttle must be idle before the locomotive comes to a stop. Operating over the railroad crossing. When operating a locomotive exceeds the 25 miles per hour, reduce the throttle to number 4 position at least 8 seconds before the locomotive reaches the railway crossing. If the locomotive is operating in number 4 position or lower, runs less than 25 miles an hour, all the same intervals, place the throttle in the next lower position. Advance the throttle as all positions consistent have passed over the crossing. All units have consist have passed over the crossing. This procedure is necessary to ensure the decay of the motor generator voltage safe level before the mechanical shock occurs at the rail crossing and transmitted to the motor brushes. Running through water. Under absolutely no circumstance should the locomotive be operated with water deep enough at the bottom of the traction motor. Any water any deeper than 3 inches above the rail is likely to cause traction motor damage. When passing through any water on the rails, excessive every precaution. The circumstance always greater, go very slow, never exceed 2 to 3 miles per hour. When wheel controlling system, the starting wheel slippage consists of electronic circuits separate from the super series wheel control. The starting wheel slippage provides a backup super series in the system in the event the super series fails. If Super Series failure. If all conditions present to Super Series operation, locomotives will automatically switch to Super Series operation. The starting wheel slip is modified rate of change corrective type if it reaches the severity of the wheel slip by the smoothing and reducing and applying depending upon the severity of the slipping conduction. The wheel slip light may not flash on or off. The slip is corrected. The light system is improvement over the best corrective type. The wheel slip system, however, is not as sophisticated as the Super Series system. Super Series system is not corrective type of wheel slip system. A wheel control system which allows the traction motor to seek maximum tractive effort. In some cases, involves allowing the wheels to creep or rotate or slightly faster than the ground speed while being controlled. Under several rail conditions, may be applied to them automatically. Among the smooth power control, the wheel slip lightly will not come on during the wheel while controlling the locomotive is in the Super Series. Locomotive speed limit. The maximum speed in which the locomotive can be safely operated determined by the gear ratio. The ratio expressed in the double numbers such as 70 to 17 to 70 indicates the number of teeth on the axle gear, which represents 17 of the number of the traction motor pinion gear. Since the two gears are meshed together, it can be set in that particular ratio of the motor and armature turns approximately 4 times a single revolution of the driving wheels. The locomotive speed limit is therefore determined maximum permissible rotation speed of the motor armature exceeding the maximum could result in a serious damage to the traction motor. Although not basically applied, overspeed protective equipment is available for installation. Locomotives equipment consists of electro-pneumatic arrangement with many possible variations to suit specific requirements. In general, however, the electrical switch is the speed recorder is used to detect the overspeed. The switch is turned to initiate the center air brake functions, which reduce the train and the speed. Mixed gear ratio operation. The units that consist of the different gear ratios. The locomotive should not be operated in speed excess. Recommended unit having lowest maximum permissible speed. Similar operation should never be slower than the minimum continuous speed or the maximum motor amperage. Having established short time ratings to obtain maximum tonnage rating at any single application, electrical motive will, upon request, analyze the actual operation, make specific tonnage rating recommendation. Dynamic braking. The dynamic braking which brake system is disconnected when operating the traction motor cutout. Dynamic braking on the locomotive is equipped so it can improve extremely valuable in retarding speed in many phases of the locomotive operation. In particular, valve will descend grades, this reducing the necessary for the use of the air brakes. By making braking maximum strength obtained at specific speeds depending on locomotive gear ratio. Basic locomotives equipped by 70 to 17 gear ratio obtain maximum strength about approximately 29 miles per hour. At train speed higher than optimum, braking efficient gradually declines as speed increases. For a reason important, the dynamic braking be started before the train speed becomes excessive. By the dynamic braking, the speed train should not be allowed to creep up by careless handling by the brake. To operate the dynamic brakes, proceed as follows. Reverse handle be pushed in the direction of locomotive movement. Return the throttle to idle. Hold on the idle to 10 seconds before proceeding. Warning, the 10-second delay may be accomplished before brake handling is moved to the setup position. This delay occurs automatically when the throttle is placed in idle. It is possible for a sudden surge of brake effort to occur with the dynamic brake handle if opening the automatic delay times out. The braking handle is into the setup position that establishes the dynamic braking circuits. It was also noted that the slight amount of the braking effort is of evidence to low current indicating meter. A slack is plunged and dynamic brake handling is moved to the control of dynamic brake strength. The dynamic braking handle is advanced out of the setup and the control set some engine speed to ensure the sufficient cooling air of the traction motors. Braking effort increases to slowly advance to the handle to follow 8 position. Desired maximum braking current can occur with over wide range of the braking handling position. The range allows the braking effort to increase the train speed. The tendency is to hold the train speed relatively constant for the given brake handle position when the condition results in less than maximum allowable current. Note that on units equipped with grid current train line control of the dynamic braking current was limited to dynamic brake handling position. A maximum grid current obtainable only of the brake handle is in the full 8 position. Brake current will generally be a nearly maximum obtainably given handle position. Tendency of the train speed, how steady the given handle position is not effective within the basic dynamics. 6. The automatic regulation maximum strength of the brake warning light of the controlling should be seldom indicated excessive braking current if the braking warning light does flash on. However, the stopping advance of the braking handle unit, the light goes on. When the light goes braking handle until the light goes on. In the light fails to go over the second go out after several seconds. Move the braking handle slowly until the light goes out. After the light goes out, the handle may be again advanced and decrease braking effort. The braking warning of the light circuits are trained in so that a warning will be given in the lead until, if any, of the incident given excessive dynamic braking, regardless of the loading indicating meter reading the brake handling position, which may be less than the maximum. Whenever the warning light comes on, it should not be allowed to remain on for any longer than 2 to 3 seconds before the steps be taken to reduce the base brake strength. If brake indications are repeated, the locomotive should be taken to dynamic braking or dynamic braking cutout switch of the engine control panel of the affected unit until it should be placed cutout position. The locomotive consistently operated normally under the power during the dynamic braking, which reduces total braking effort. When necessary, the automatic brake may be used in conjunction with the dynamic brake. However, the independent brake is kept full release. Whenever the dynamic brake is in use, the wheels may slide. As speed increases, the basic dynamic brake is less effective. When the speed further decreases, permissible complete release dynamic brake may be by placing the handle in the off position, applying the independent brake simultaneously to prevent the slack for running out. When operating the dynamic brake and air brake application caused by an emergency or safety control conditions will disconnect the dynamic brake. So when operating the dynamic brake and air brake application and the emergency or safety control will disconnect the dynamic brake. Locomotive can be operated as dynamic brake when coupled to older units that are not equipped with the braking current limit regulators. If all units have the same gear ratio, the unit having the lowest maximum brake current rating should be placed at the lead until it's consistent. The operator can operate and control braking effort up to the limit of the unit having the lowest brake current rating without overloading the dynamic brakes of the trailing unit. The locomotive consists of the MUST always operated so that multiple unit of the ST standard always operated so that not to exceed the braking current of the unit having the lowest maximum brake current rating. Units equipped with dynamic braking current limit regulators can be operated in multiple with locomotives dynamic braking regardless of the gear ratio difference of the maximum current ratings. Dynamic braking wheel slip controlled. By dynamic braking, each series group of the two traction motors is connected by the parallel with each dynamic braking resistors grid circuits with the other series connected by the traction motors with arrangement when a wheel slippage is motored by other motors in the system. This is effective, makes the wheel slippage during the dynamic braking somewhat self-corrective. However, the parallel arrangement of the dynamic braking resistor grids with traction motors such as the full response wheel slip control system available for during the braking as well as the power operation precise immediate regulation maintained plus a motoring effective created with a partial arrangement provides extremely stability dynamic braking option operation. In addition to above, bridge circuits is employed to protect against the possibility of simultaneously slip otherwise or may not be detected. When pairs of wheels is detected to tend to rotate at a slower speed, the retarding effort of the traction motor is in the unit affected by the reduced track alternator field excitation reduced in the unit affected. The sand is automatically applied to the rails. The retarding effort for the traction motor is used to reduce the tendency of the wheel set to rotate at the slower speed overcome a wheel set resumes normal rotation. Retarding effort of the traction motor returns and increases to its former value. Automatically sanding continues 3 to 5 seconds after the wheel slide tendencies is corrected. Operating in a helper service. Basically, there's no difference in the instruction for the operating a locomotive as a helper with a helper in more instances than desirable to get over the grade at the shortest possible time, than whether the possible operation of the grade should be in full throttle position. The throttle can be reduced, however, the wheel slippage will cause lurching that will may threaten or break the train. Isolating a unit. When occasion arises when it becomes advisable to isolate a locomotive, observe the following. When operating under the power of a multiple unit consists of a unit may be isolated in any time. The discretion of no timing necessity should be used. When operating a dynamic braking, important to get out of the dynamic braking attempt as isolated the unit. This is done by reducing brake handle to off. Isolation switch can be moved to isolate the position to eliminate the braking of the unit. The braking is resumed. Other units will be functioning normally. Changing operation ends. The locomotive includes 2 or more units in the operating control. The following procedure recommended in change one operating to the opposite end of the locomotive is equipped with 26L brakes. On the ending being cut, the move automatic brake handle to the service position and make 20-pound reduction. On the end of being cut out, part two, after brake pipe exhaust stops, place the cutout valve into the out position and push the knob and turn it in desired position. Place the independent brake handle into the full release position. 4. Place the multiple unit valve in trail or closed trail position indicates the valve handle. Position the automatic brake valve into the handle off position. With the dynamic brake handle in the off position, throttle it into the throttle in idle. Place the reverse handle in neutral position and remove the lock controls. Place all switches in the off position. Be absolutely certain that the control of the fuel pump switch generate the fuel switch engine run, which switches are off position. The engine control panel. Place the head control switch in proper position for the trailing unit operation. Place other switches on as needed. As the circuit breaker panel, all circuit breakers on the black areas are to remain on the on position. 10. After the completing of the operation outline of the proceeding, move the cab out of the new lead unit, out and being cut in. At control stand, make certain the generator field switch is off. Insert the reverse handle into the leave neutral position. Place automatic brake valve into the suppression position. Nullify any safety control over speed traction control. Use is inserted dependent and brake valve handle. Remove it and move the handle to the full independent application position. Position the cutoff of the valve in the end position on the units equipped with a 3-position cutoff valve. Position valve either to freight or passenger depending on the make of the train. Place the dual ported cutout cock in the open lead or dead position in the circuit breaker panel. Check all the circuit breakers in the black areas are in the position on. All at the engine controls, place the headlight control switch in the proper position. Otherwise, other switches on the on is needed. Place the engine to run control. Fuel pump generator field switch is in the on position. Otherwise, switch may be placed on as needed. Stopping the engine. There are 6 ways to stop the engine. Placing the stop button on the engine control panel. Pressing the emergency fuel cutoff. Emergency fuel cutoff buttons are located in each of the fuel filter openings. The push button operates the same manner as the stop button as needed for the handle and not to be held to reset. Use the injector control level. The injector control lever operated to override an engine governor. Move the injector racks to the no fuel position. Close the lower rate water detector test cock. When the lower water detector trips, oil is dumped from the governor from low oil shutdown devices, stopping the engine. Use the throttle handle to stop engines online and consistent with simultaneous with the cab of leading unit. Move the throttle to the idle position. Pull the handle out of the way, away from the controller. Move it beyond the idle to the stop position. Pull all the low oil shutdown plunger on the side of the governor. That's the sixth way. Pull out the low oil shutdown plunger on the side of the governor. Freezing weather precautions. As long as the diesel engine is cooling system will keep it adequately warm regardless of the ambient outside temperatures encountered, and it is only when the engine is shut down and stopping for any reason the cooling system requires protection against the freezing. Whenever the engine is shut down, freezing temperatures are positioned with the cooling system as well as the flush toilet and the water cooling is if so equipped with a drain, otherwise protected with a freezing. The automatic cooling system drain circuit is provided will protect the current cooling system. Draining the cooling system basic. The necessary draining system open engine water draining valve located at the pit between the engine accessory rack. The valve will be drained. Engine water tank water cooled air compressed associated piping. Caution: if the hot engine is drained, always allow the engine to cool before refilling the coolant. Automatic cooling system draining circuit if so equipped. If the circuit is armed, it will automatically drain a valve at freezing temperature to protect engine air compressor cooling system. If the circuit is not armed, both Hardy knife switch and the control circuit breakers are closed. The water drain light on the engine control panel will be on. The alarm bell will sound. Tone manually drain the system so the manual drain valve. Note not to test of the switch automatically. Both valves are located in the pit between the engine and the accessory rack. To arm the circuit for the opening operation to proceed as follows. Engine should be stopped if you do not want the engine to start during the procedure. Open the battery knife switch. Close the water drain circuit breaker. Turn the fuel prime engine start to the engine start position for a moment. Circuit should be armed. 4. Open and close an automatic drain valve momentarily in the test switch on the valve. The valve operation indicates successful circuiting. Arming. Repeat step 3 if valve does not operate. If the battery knife switch controls circuit breaker, unless they should be remain closed and from some other reason, the water drain circuit breaker must be remain closed and auto drain cold water fill. The switch of the AC cabinet must be operated as long as the circuit is to be remained armed. To override the automatic cooling system drainage circuit must be automatic drain valve. The auto drain cold water fill. The push button switched on the side of the AC cabinet. Alarm bell will sound and the water draining light will go on. Caution: all allow hot engine cooling down before the refilling of the system. After completing refill, cooling the system, warming up the engine, rearm the circuit in the following previous procedure. Drain, flush the toilet if so equipped. Flush the toilet until the water has been drained from the tank. Turn off the electrical tank heater if so equipped. Remove the pipe plug from the bottom of the toilet flushing piping. Drain the water cooler if it's so equipped. Remove the empty water bottle. Drain the remaining water if cooler holding in the spigot button. Turn off electrical power if the water is equipped. Towing a locomotive in the train. When a locomotive unit is equipped with 26L air brakes, it is placed with a transit consists to towed and control air brakes should be set as follows. Drain all the air from the main reserve air brakes equipment unless the engine is remaining idle. Placing multiple unit valve lead or dead or open into the lead or dead position indicates that the valve handle. Place the cutoff of the valve in the out position. Place independent brake valve handle in the release position. Place the automatic brake handle in the handle off position. Cut in the dead engine feature of the turning out cock. Figure 2.8 to open at 90-degree to pipe position dead engine cock located beneath the cab floor being be reached through an access door to the locomotive. If the engines remain in the idling switches in position, it follows the idling isolation switches, the position battery switch, ground relay cutout switch closed. Generator field, circuit breaker off. All breakers in the black areas of the circuit breaker panel on. Position start fusing should be removed. Other fuses should be left in place. Control fuel pump switch pump. Control and fuel pump switch on or up, fuel pump circuit breaker on, throttle idle dynamic brake handle on the off position, remove the reverser handle from the control of the lock controllers. Lock controls if the locomotive is towed dead and the consistent switch should be positioned as follows. Battery switches open, all circuit breakers off, all control switches off, starting fuse removed, idle dynamic brake handle off, remove the reverse from the control to control. Lock the controls. Note if the danger is freezing, engine cooler should be drained. And refer to the freezing weather precautions. Leaving the locomotive unattended. If any time necessary for the locomotive unattended while the engine is running, the following procedure should be adhered. Observe all railroad safety precautions. Place the engine running or generate the field switches in off or down position. Place the throttle and idle dynamic brake handle on off position. Remove the reverse handle from the control to lock the controls. Chapter 4, Troubleshooting.